prayer for illumination that's printed in your bulletin. O God of infinite love and unending challenge, help us to listen to your call. Inspire us to reflect your love and embody your spirit of hospitality. Find our hearts open to your transforming power, and find us a sign of your unconditional welcome to all people who seek you. Amen. A reading from the Hebrew Scriptures. Hear the word of the Lord. Take care that you do not forget the Lord your God by failing to keep his commandments, his ordinances, and his statutes, which I am commanding you today. When you have eaten your fill and have built fine houses and lived in them, and when your herds and flocks have multiplied, and your silver and gold is multiplied, and all that you have is multiplied, then do not exalt yourself, forgetting the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery, who led you through the great and terrible wilderness, an arid wasteland with poisonous snakes and scorpions. He made water flow for you from flint rock, and fed you in the wilderness with manna that your ancestors did not know, to humble you and to test you, and in the end to do you good. Do not say to yourself, my power and the might of mine own hand have gained me this wealth. But remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you power to get wealth, so that he may confirm his covenant that he swore to your ancestors, as he is doing today. If you do not forget the Lord your God, if you do forget the Lord your God and follow other gods to serve and worship them, I solemnly warn you today that you shall surely perish. Like the nations that the Lord is destroying before you, so shall you perish, because you would not obey the voice of the Lord your God. The word of the Lord. Amen.
beginning with the first verse. Listen to what the Spirit is saying to the community of faith this day. Then Jesus said to the disciples, "There was a rich man who had a manager, and charges were brought to him that this man was squandering his property. So he summoned him and said to him, 'What is this that I hear about you? Give me an accounting of your management, because you cannot be my manager any longer." Then the manager said to himself, "What will I do now that my master is taking the position away from me? I'm not strong enough to dig, and I am ashamed to beg. I have decided what to do so that when I am dismissed as manager, people may welcome me into their homes." So summoning his master's debtors one by one, he asked the first, "How much do you owe my master?" He answered, 100 jugs of olive oil. He said to him, "Take your bill, sit down quickly, and make it 50. Then he asked another, "And how much do you owe?" He replied, 100 containers of wheat. And he said to him, "Take your bill and make it 80. And his master commended the dishonest manager because he had acted shrewdly. For the children of this age are more shrewd in dealing with their own generation than are the children of light. And I tell you, make friends for yourselves by means of dishonest wealth, so that when it is gone, they may welcome you into the eternal home. Whoever is faithful in a very little is faithful also in much. And whoever is dishonest in a very little is dishonest also in much. If then you have not been faithful with the dishonest wealth, who will entrust to you the true riches? And if you have not been faithful with what belongs to another, who will give you what is your own? No slave can serve two masters, for a slave will either hate the one and love the other, or be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and wealth." This is the word of the Lord. Of course, the vast majority of us already know this, but for those of you who, for whatever reason, don't, or just want to pretend that you have forgotten so as not to look silly, November is National Novel Writers Month. It's okay, I didn't know either, until Linda told us all at our staff meeting this past Wednesday. Part of my confusion was that I thought I had heard November was the national month of something else. So we searched the internet and found a website with all the pertinent information. Apparently, November is the national month for 17 different topics, including National Diabetes Month, National Epilepsy Awareness Month, National Alzheimer's Disease Month, as well as National, and I'm not making these up, Banana Pudding Lovers Month, National Peanut Butter Lovers Month, and my favorite, National Fun with Fondue Month. The website also noted all the national days in November. National Sandwich Day is November 3rd. November 6th is National Nachos Day. November 10 is both National Accounting Day and National Vanilla Cupcake Day. Seriously, you can look these up yourself. I know that I proceeded to look for what I imagine to be a singular and very competitive process for such designations and or the government agencies that hand these out, some sort of Department of National Months or the National Day Administration, but no such luck. It remains one of our great mysteries, like black holes in the Bermuda Triangle. What many of us already knew, and maybe you did as well, was that this same day when we were scouring the internet, discovering that we were a day late of celebrating National Happy Hour Day, it was also World Kindness Day. That's right, apparently there's also an international organization of days and months, the World Council of Chronological Nomenclature or something like that. Anyway, for days leading up to World Kindness Day, social media had been encouraging people to wear cardigan sweaters in honor of Mr. Fred Rogers, the contemporary embodiment of kindness. With all of the bad news in the world, it was nothing short of a beautiful day in the neighborhood to see the news out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, celebrating Mr. Rogers' legacy of compassion and acceptance. At the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center McGee Women's Hospital, the nurses dressed a dozen of the babies in red crocheted cardigans and sneakers. Hundreds of staffers lined the railings of the hospital's main lobby to welcome Mr. Rogers' wife, Joanne, singing "A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood." She was delighted and commented about what a kick it was to see the babies in her husband's trademark outfit. It was wonderful and a fabulous reminder of his ability to make us feel all warm and fuzzy on the inside, even after his death. But back to the month of November. Along with the culturally significant and vitally necessary celebrations of banana pudding, nachos, and peanut butter, this month also marks an equally meaningful and momentous religious season, or at least ecclesiastically essential season of asking for money, or what is more commonly and euphemistically referred to as stewardship season. This is the time when we, both the called and elected leadership of the congregation, try and find new and less painful or intrusive ways of asking for your financial support of the ministries, mission, building, and people it takes to be the very best that is the First Presbyterian Church in South St. Paul. And this is kinda, sorta, what I am here to ask you about this morning. But I also want to provide you with something a little different than a sermon on gratitude and generosity, and instead give you a bit of a snapshot of where we are today, as well as, and maybe more importantly, a theory as to how we got here. Maybe then, equipped with this information, we can find our way into a healthy, hope-filled, and faithful future. Here come the numbers. Friends, we have an annual budget of $444,000. Last year it was $435,000, and we gave a little over $400,000, $400,017 to be exact, in pledges and regular offering, contributions to the building fund and per capita giving, what one might call our keep the place running financial support. On top of that, we gave another $50,185 in designated giving to support our programs, and another $23,700 in giving to specific mission programs, such as the Union Gospel Mission Thanksgiving Bags, our Service Sunday project with 360 communities, and the Adopt a Family Christmas programs through Neighbors Incorporated, right here in South St. Paul, where we were one of the founding churches. This comes to a grand total of $473,372 in generous giving from all of us, $59,000 of which went to mission, or 13% of all of our giving, well beyond tithing. This was also $38,000 more than the operating budget, and is amazing, impressive, and something we should all be very proud of here. But even with that abundance of generosity, we still needed to use $20,000 from our reserves to balance the budget. Not a problem, because we had it. Thanks to the legacy gifts of the saints of this congregation, who left financial gifts to this place in grateful recognition that this place held in their hearts and in their lives, and so that we would be able to continue to have that same type of impact in the lives of others for years to come. If we have any challenges ahead of us, and we do, it is not because the people who call this their spiritual home have not been overwhelmingly generous. In 2019, we were right on schedule for a similar type of financial year until something happened in October, and so far in November as well. Our giving decreased dramatically in comparison to past years. And even though we continue to keep expenses as low as possible, the difference between income and expense has grown in ways that we could not foresee. So far this year, we have given $290,000, $448 toward our operating budget, another $51,458 to the building fund, and $6,268 in per capita giving. Add in $13,976 in designated giving toward our programs, and another $19,000 to specific mission programs, and that comes to a total of $381,317. Still amazingly generous. but also much less than previous years. And again, until October, we were keeping pace with past years. So what happened? And is there anything that we can do to change this, both before the end of 2019 and moving into 2020, as you prepare your pledges for collection next Sunday? Here is what I see, and more importantly, what I hear. And that is that we are in some sort of a crisis. Now, as someone who sees the full breadth of the life, the work, the relationships, the healing, the growth, the compassion and caring, the outreach and love that to me sustains and defines this place, I must admit to being puzzled by this term. And it makes me wonder about where it is coming from, anxiety, and why, fear. So let me first say to all of you with full assurance, we are not in the midst of a crisis. We have our challenges, both from within and outside these walls. But we have met our challenges in the past, and I have no reason to believe we will not meet them again. That is, unless we lose faith, lose hope in the power of this congregation to faithfully worship God, offer spiritual formation to our children of every age, and embody the life and ministry of Jesus as we work to build and reveal God's world. I fear when I hear words like crisis, that what we have on our hands is not so much a financial crisis as a spiritual crisis. That we no longer find ourselves able to place our trust, our hope in the church which is the shared gifts and resources of its members, us. We are the church. That we have lost faith in ourselves and all that we have to offer. And we, you and I, are amazing. You are generous and you are almost unbelievably faithful. So when I look at a decrease in financial support, I am not so much worried about how we will balance the budget, because there are many ways to do that, some of them more and some of them less painful than others. We still have money in our reserves. We have land that can be sold. We can reallocate our budget. We can make cuts to our expenses. No, what I am worried about is us, and whether or not we have forgotten who we are and all that we have done, all that we continue to be capable of, and that we have lost the belief in our individual callings and our shared calling as the church, the body of Jesus in the world, to be his arms, his legs, his heart, his voice, his message of peace and justice, forgiveness and belonging, hope, and above all else, love. Do not let financial spreadsheets and unexpected dips in our giving define who we are and the incredible ministry we have done, are doing, and will continue to do for years to come. We are not in a financial crisis. We are amazing. You are amazing. But at the same time and in the same breath, know that if we are to keep up our amazing work together at the same level of quality and faithfulness as we have been, it will require a combination of our shared financial resources to do so. And we are an incredibly generous people. And not just to mission and ministries, but to the building and all the unsexy expenses that come with keeping it up, and the staff and all the unsexy expenses that come with keeping them up. My hope is that when you think and pray about what it is that you can give so that we can continue to impact the lives of our brothers and sisters, you will give not out of fear and concern, anxiety and worry, but out of hope and faith and love, remembering all that we have done together and trusting in what we will do together for the next 130 years and beyond. Some might want to tell you that hope and faith and peace and joy are naive in the world today, that generosity is for suckers, and that the church is dying, that giving of your valuable resources to the church is throwing good money after bad. All I would remind you of is that we are that church. We are the church. You and I. And I still believe that the church, this congregation, we, us, have the power together by the grace of God to change this world and make it a better place, a place of healing and hope, a reflection and a revelation of God's love for everyone and all creation. Let us stop defining ourselves by the people who aren't here, but by the amazing, gifted people who are. Not by the work that some other church is doing or that we used to do, but by the 100+ bags of groceries out in the commons and all of our other mission contributions. Ask not what your church can do for you, but what we can do as the church, brothers and sisters, sharing our gifts and our resources together, that we might spread the good news of great joy, which is to all the people. We are the church. We are the church. And we are amazing. And to God alone be all the glory.